Hey guys, welcome to the video. I've got a tier list video today for you, so I'm going to be going through lots of different free weights exercises. I'm going to be ranking them from best to worst. I'm going to be giving tips and advice on certain exercises, things that make them bad, things that make them good, stuff like that. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and yeah, let's get into it. So to rank all the different exercises, we've got the top, which is S tier. Nothing's going to beat it. This is the best exercise you could probably do for that specific muscle group. Then you've got A tier, which means it's very good, but there are things that are better. B tier, average at best. C tier, you can do the exercise if you like it. I personally wouldn't. Then you've got D tier, good luck making gains. If you're doing this exercise, there's loads of other better options and it's a bit pointless doing it. So first up, we've got dumbbell pullovers. Now, this exercise isn't very common. You don't see a lot of people doing it in the gym. However, it is a very good exercise for overloading the lats, especially in the stretched position. And you can also use it to target the chest as well. However, the range of motion is quite limited after the stretch portion of the movement and you bring the dumbbell up to your shoulders. At that point, the whole tension is just taken off your lats. Gravity's pulling it down into your shoulders. So it's a very good lat exercise, especially stretching them. However, range of motion is quite bad. It's a good stabilizer. It stabilizes you quite well, but for all those reasons, I'm going to put it in average at best. Next up, we've got dumbbell shoulder press. Now, this exercise is most commonly performed on a bench, which means you've got stability, you're stabilized, you're very stable with the back support. So because of that, it is going to be higher than other shoulders, especially front delt exercises I would recommend. Also because you're using dumbbells, you've got a lot more range of motion and stuff like that. So because of those reasons, I'm going to put dumbbell shoulder press in A tier, very good. Next up, we've got pull-ups, bodyweight pull-ups. Now, this exercise is perfect for targeting the back. Because of all the different versatility it has, you can have different hand grips, stuff like that, which are going to target and bias different areas of the back. You've got your teres, you've got your lats, you've got your traps, you've got obviously your biceps you can target as well if you wanted to do chin-ups, which is a variation of a pull-up. So because of that and all the different variations you can do and how easy it is to perform, I'm going to put this exercise in S tier. Nothing quite really beats this back exercise. Next up, we've got reverse grip curls. Now, this exercise is very good for targeting the forearms and brachialis as well as bicep muscles. And it's very easy to perform. Not a lot of people do it. However, if you do want to target your forearms and your biceps, your brachialis, get bigger arms, it's the perfect exercise. And like I said, it's very easy to perform. So because of that, I'm going to put this exercise in A tier. It is a very good exercise, even though it isn't a common exercise. Next up, we've got probably one of the most common exercises within the gym, the barbell bench press. Now, this exercise is very good for loading the chest as well as the triceps. It's good because it has good stability. You're on a bench, you're not going to fall or anything like that. You're training both pecs at the same time. However, range of motion can be quite limited. Not limited by much, just the fact that the barbell touches your chest and you can't get as deep as you could do with other things such as maybe machines or dumbbells, even though we're not going into machines in this video. However, it also doesn't require, but most of the time you would be better off using a spot whilst doing this exercise, which kind of brings it down a bit because you need to be relying on someone else to do it, unless you're using lightweight, which is good, but obviously if you want to be going near or to failure, then you are going to be needing a spot with you. Now, because of that reason, I am going to be putting it in very good. However, I don't believe it is the best chest building exercise you can be doing. Next up, we've got dumbbell pec flies. Now, this exercise is very good for targeting the chest, taking the triceps out of the equation, doesn't hit the triceps at all, and it gives the chest a full length and full range of motion. Same again, very stabilized. However, if you don't know what you're doing, it can be very injury prone because if you're overloading it too much and you're going too far into the stretch, you can injure yourself quite easily. However, it's still a very good chest builder. Get an amazing stretch on the pecs. But for that, I'm going to be putting it in B tier, average at best. Next up, we've got incline chest press. Now, the picture is with dumbbells. However, I'm including barbell incline press and dumbbell incline press just because they're relatively similar. The only difference is the range of motion. Now, this exercise is very good for targeting the upper chest as well as the deltoids and triceps. And unlike the flat bench press, you don't really require a spot as much because you can always roll it down you. It's not going to get stuck on you. It's not going to fall on your neck, anything like that. Now, because of all that, I am probably going to be putting it in A tier as well. However, I'm going to be putting it above the flat barbell bench press. Next up, we have close grip bench press, barbell bench press. Now, this is a very good tricep builder. Takes the chest out of the movement completely, just focuses on the triceps. However, you've got the same problem with the flat bench press. You might need a spot, stuff like that, which you don't want to be relying on other people if you're training on your own, stuff like that. However, overall, the exercise is very good at targeting the triceps, very good at overloading them. The range of motion is good. However, it could be better. So for that reason, I'm going to put it at average at best. Next up, we've got side lateral raises, dumbbell side lateral raises. Now, this exercise is probably one of the most common side delt exercise because there isn't that many variations you can be doing. Now, it is perfect for targeting your side delts, really. You're just going to make sure you're performing the exercise properly. You're not shrugging the weight up with your traps. You're nice and controlled, and you're not swinging the weights up by a side. But if you're not doing all those things, it's a perfect side delt exercise. And for that reason, I'm going to be putting it in nothing beats it for training your side delts. Next up, we've got single arm dumbbell rows. Now, this is a very good exercise for training your back. It can target your lats. However, there are better exercises to target the lats more effectively. Targets your traps as well, stuff like that, rear delts. It targets a lot of back muscles. However, it can also target your biceps as well, which obviously you don't want it to because at some point it's going to be quite fatiguing. You might not even be able to finish your set because your biceps hurt, and as well as your forearms and your grip strength. However, for more advanced lifters, that probably won't be a problem, and you can also use straps as well. However, to target your back as a back exercise, it is very good. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it in very good. Next up, we've got preacher curls. So this exercise is very good at targeting the biceps. It targets them in a very good lengthened position, gets a good stretch. However, you can get a better stretch when you're bringing the elbow back behind the body. But the actual exercise, the tension drops off as you get up to the top of the movement because obviously gravity's pulling it down into your elbow. Now, with that being said, there are better exercises. However, it's also good because you're keeping your arms in a fixed position. You're not going to be bringing your elbows forward, putting the tension on your front delts. It's just a bicep exercise. But for all those reasons, I'm going to put the exercise in average at best. Next up, we've got flat dumbbell bench press. Now, this exercise is very good for targeting the chest. Not only can you get really good range of motion, you can go obviously safe, make sure you're doing it safe, but you can go quite lower than you can with a barbell. And also, it doesn't really require a spot because if it gets to the point where you cannot push it up, you're reaching failure, you can drop the weights, even though people say in the gym you're not meant to. But if you're training to failure and you're training properly, you're trying to train hard, you're gonna need to do it on a couple of sets or two. So you don't need a spot. You've got full range of motion. You're very stabilized, very good. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in S tier. Nothing beats it. Next up, we've got incline bicep curls, dumbbell bicep curls. This exercise is very good for targeting the biceps in a stretched position. Now, it is quite hard to keep your elbows back once it gets to those last few reps and you're reaching failure. However, it is a very good exercise for targeting your biceps and overloading the biceps. And it's very easy to set up as well, stabilize good. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it in very good, A tier. Next up, we've got tricep dumbbell kickbacks. Now, these aren't really seen at gym much. I would not say they're one of my favourite. In fact, I don't think I've really done them much. They are good for getting a good squeeze on the triceps. However, range of motion's pretty crap. You're not getting a good stretch, and obviously once you get back down to about 90 degrees, the tension's just completely off your triceps, and then you're trying to keep it up with your delts more or less. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in C tier. If you like it, you can do it. However, there are far more better exercises to train your triceps. Next up, we've got dumbbell chest supported rows on a bench. Now, this exercise is very good for overall back development. The fact that it takes all the strain off your lower back. If you're doing barbell rows, you can get quite a lot of lower back strain from trying to keep the weight up. This takes that out of the equation. You can also get a very good stretch if you bring your shoulders forward under control and bring the weights down in front of the bench, and you can get a really good range of motion, pulling your traps back, all your back muscles squeezing at the top. So it's a very good back exercise. For that reason, I'm going to put it in very good A tier. Next up, we've got dumbbell behind the head tricep extensions. This exercise can be done with one dumbbell, holding it with each hand, or have one dumbbell in each hand. It's very good for targeting the triceps, puts a full stretch on the long head of the triceps. It gets full range of motion. As long as you've got good flexibility, and you can get that dumbbell right behind your head, and you can get a full stretch on the triceps, and then you can get a good full extension as well by bringing the dumbbell up just above your head. So, and because it's a good, because mainly you do it unseated, although you do want a slight decline on the bench to make sure you're not straining your back too much. It is a very good exercise. Yeah, good stability, full range of motion on your triceps, good stretch, and all that stuff, easy to perform. It's just a case of, are you flexible enough to do it? And it takes time, practice to actually get used to doing it. So for that reason, I am going to put it in my personal opinion S tier. Nothing quite beats it in terms of free weight tricep exercises. Next up, we have dumbbell hammer curls. Now, this exercise is very good for targeting the brachialis as well as the forearms, biceps. Very easy to perform and targets quite a lot of your arm muscles, like I said, your forearms, your biceps, your brachialis. And for that reason, it's pretty simple exercises, to be honest. There's not much about it. You can do it standing, you can do it seated with back support. For that reason, and the amount of muscles it trains and how easy it is to perform, I'm going to put it in average at best, just because there are other exercises you can do which are better for bicep growth, stuff like that. However, it is still a good exercise. Next up, we have goblet squats. Now, this exercise requires holding one dumbbell and then just performing a normal squat. Now, because of the amount of weight you're using, you're limited to one dumbbell. You probably can't use that much weight. Two, where the dumbbell is positioned, you put quite a lot of strain on your lower back because it's making you lean forward. And three, there's just quite a lot of exercises which are a lot better. I wouldn't really, unless the only pieces of equipment you have are dumbbells, and that's, you don't have a barbell and you have to perform goblet squats, then you can do. However, there are far more better exercises you can do to target your legs and your quads. For that reason, I am going to specifically put this in C tier. You can do it if you want, but like I said, there's a lot more better exercises than goblet squats. Next up, we have barbell rows. Now, like I said before, barbell rows are going to put quite a lot of pressure on your lower back when you're leaning forward. And if you don't lean forward too much, you lean back, then you're not putting enough tension on the back muscles you're trying to train. So it's kind of a battle between leaning forward and putting enough tension on the back muscles you want to train, but also putting a lot of stress on your lower back, or leaning back, not targeting the back muscles you want to train as much, but not putting as much stress on your lower back. Now, exercise-wise, it's very good. You get a full range of motion. However, because the barbell, it will limit your range of motion quite a bit at the top of the movement because you can't pull the barbell through your tummy. However, it's still quite a good exercise, but there are a lot of other back exercises which you can do, which are a lot better. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in average at best. Next up, we have RDLs, and this exercises can be done with dumbbells or barbells. I've just got a picture of someone using it with a barbell because it's basically the exact same movement. It's just preference. Now, RDLs are very good for targeting the hamstrings through hip hinge movement. You can also target your glutes as well. It's very easy to perform. However, there are a lot of people who tend to bring the lower back into it when they shouldn't. You need to focus on pushing your glutes back. Imagine there's a door behind you and you're trying to open the door with your glutes rather than just leaning down with your lower back and not doing a hip hinge movement. This exercise is very good for overloading the hamstrings and glutes. It's quite easy to perform, and for all those reasons, I'm probably going to put it in S tier. Nothing quite beats RDLs for hamstring growth. Next up, we have dumbbell rear delt flies. Now, this exercise is pretty self-explanatory. It's very good for training your rear delts. However, depending on how you're doing it, you can do it seated on a bench, or you can do it standing up. Now, doing it standing up, again, you're going to be putting quite a lot of stress on your lower back. After a couple of sets, you might end up, depending on how much weight you're using, you might end up actually feeling that in your lower back, and it might end up making you stop the set before your rear delts are actually fatigued. But you could still use a bench and it's just as good. It's a very good rear delt exercises. However, there are other exercises which obviously are machines, but we're not going into this in this video. There are other exercises which are better for the rear delts, and for that reason, I'm going to put it in B tier, average at best. Next up, we have skull crushers. Now, this exercise is very good for targeting the triceps, putting in its lengthened position, getting a nice stretch on the triceps and a good contraction as well. However, it does require your knowledge of how to perform the exercise properly. You need to make sure, obviously, doing skull crushers, you're not bringing the bar to your head, you're bringing it behind your head, pulling your elbows back slightly to stretch the long head more, stuff like that. It's a very good exercise. However, once you get to the bottom of the movement and the barbell gets behind your head, you're kind of missing out on that last final stretch of the triceps to get a full range of motion. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting the skull crushers in B tier. A tier. I'll put them in A tier. Very good, but obviously the fact that you're not getting a full range of motion is limiting it to get up to that S tier. Next up, we have hip thrusts. Now, hip thrusts are a very good exercise for targeting the glutes. Don't do them much myself. However, I'm sure the ladies out there do them quite a lot in the programs. They are very good for overloading the glutes. There's not going to get much better. Very easy to set up, very easy to perform as long as you're doing it correctly. Just going to make sure you're not hyperextending at the top. You're getting nice flat. Your legs should be in line with your tummy, just like the woman's doing on the picture. That's top of the movement. So you're getting very good range of motion. However, there are other exercises which are better for the glutes, which are machine based. However, it's still very good for targeting the glutes, and for that reason, specifically glute training, it is probably going to be S tier. You're not going to get much better in terms of glute training free weight exercises. Next up, we have normal bicep curls. Now, these are just performed one dumbbell in each hand. You can do them standing, seated, and you get a full twist at the top of the biceps, and you're getting more or less full range of motion. You're just not getting a full stretch by pulling your elbow back behind your body or contracting it even more by pulling it in front of your body or anything like that. It's kind of an in-between. It's a great all-round bicep exercise. It's just one of those where you don't need to overcomplicate anything. You can just overload your biceps without implementing other methods of training. There are better bicep exercises to do, I would say, and for that reason, it's very good. Yeah, I'm going to put it in very good. However, there are other exercises which are quite a lot better. Next up, we've got standing overhead barbell press. Now, this exercise, or military press as it's called as well, this exercise is very good for developing the shoulders, front delts, side delts, as well as the triceps slightly as well. It is a good all-round shoulder exercise. It's easy to perform. However, you've got to make sure you're performing it properly. You don't want to be leaning back too much and then hyperextending the spine and putting a lot of stress on your lower back, which can happen with people who are using too much weight. It's very easy to perform, and you've got a full range of motion for the shoulders as well. For that reason, I wouldn't say it's better than seated dumbbell press, because obviously, like I said, with that exercise, you've got the back support and you're a lot more stable. So for that reason, I'm probably going to put it in B tier, average at best. Next up, we have concentration curls. Now, this exercise is basically a preacher curl variation without the actual need for the preacher curl pad. Obviously, they can only be done one arm at a time, unless you're using, maybe you can put it on your legs at your front instead, on your knees. However, most people do it how it's performed in the picture. So it's very good for targeting the biceps through more or less a full range of motion. That fixed position, keeping your elbow on your leg, it stops you bringing your elbow forward, swinging the weight, using momentum, stuff like that. It keeps you in a fixed position to put all that stress on your biceps. You're not bringing your elbow forward and putting more pressure onto your front delt. It's just all biceps. So it's a very good bicep exercise. However, the fact that you can only do one arm at a time, unless you're doing it with your arms at your front on your knees, but that would kind of change the variation of the exercise, because at that point, when you're pulling up, you're not going to be getting a full range of motion, so you would only really perform it how it's performed in the picture. So yeah, you're getting a full range of motion, fixed position. You're not going to be forced to bring your elbow forward. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it in C tier. If you like it, you can do it. However, there are better bicep exercises that I would recommend doing. Next up, we have spider curls. Now, this exercise, don't really see it performed much. However, I think it's one of those where you're kind of doing more than you need to. It's like a preacher curl style, so you're putting your elbows out in front of you like you would with a preacher curl, and you're getting a full range of motion because gravity's pulling the dumbbells all the way down, and then you're having to pull them all the way up with no drop of tension throughout the movement. And because your arms are dangling down, you're not going to be forced to bring your elbows forward and swing the weight, because you physically can't during this movement. So it's very good. I would probably say it's better than the concentration curls. However, there are still better bicep exercises than this that are more simple, quicker to set up, easier to do. And I also find it quite uncomfortable having to sit on a bench like that, especially for a bicep exercise. So I personally wouldn't do it, but I would say it's average at best, B tier. Next up, we have barbell squats, probably the most common leg exercise you can do. Obviously, there's different variations. You can do your high bar, your low bar, target different things slightly. Obviously, doing your low bar, you're going to be targeting, it's going to be more of a hip hinge movement. You're going to be targeting more of your glutes and your hamstrings, but it's still quads as well. And then your high bar, you've got quite a lot more tension on your quads, but obviously it's going to be putting more stress on your lower back as well. Now, this exercise is very good all-round leg builder. It's good for your quads, easy to perform as long as you got the correct technique and you know how you're doing it properly. For that reason, I'm probably going to be putting it in, I want to put it in S tier. However, I do feel like there are machine variants of leg exercises which can be much better and more beneficial for different reasons. However, those machines aren't in this video, so I think I'll still put it in S tier. However, if this was a video with free weights and machines, it probably wouldn't go in S tier, but it is going in S tier in this video. Now, next up, we've got lunges. Now, dumbbell lunges can be done walking. They can be done static, so you bring your one leg forward, then back, then the other leg forward and back. They're an alright exercise, targeting one quad at a time, glutes as well. However, obviously, you're limiting weight because you can only have one dumbbell, stuff like that. Some people might struggle with stability doing this exercise. However, it's a good leg builder. Good for actually practicing stability, stuff like that. I would put the exercise though probably in B tier, average at best, because I do think there are other exercises which are a lot better. Next up, we have dumbbell front raises. Now, this exercise is good at targeting the front delts, and some people use other stuff as well, like plates. However, you're a lot better using dumbbells because you're more secure holding the weight, stuff like that. I personally think there are a lot better front delt exercises you can do. For example, the shoulder presses and overhead press, stuff like that. And with this exercise specifically, this is the one where you see people swinging the weight up. It is you're very inclined to be swinging the weight once it gets hard, and it's just not needed, using your trap, stuff like that. And I don't really do it myself. So for that reason, I'm probably going to put it in C tier. You can do it if you want, but there's a lot more exercises which are a lot better than front delt raises. Next up, we have dips. Now, dips obviously can be performed to target your chest or your triceps, depending which one you want to do. They're both very good exercises. You get in quite a good, an amazing range of motion for your chest if you're doing them to target your chest, and for your triceps, the range of motion is not full range of motion, but it is still very good. You're getting a full contraction at the top, and you're getting not a full stretch, but it's still quite good. Because of that, you can do two variations: target your chest, target your triceps. They're quite easy to do. Now, the only thing is, obviously, this exercise, newbies, beginners, stuff like that, they're probably not going to be able to do bodyweight dips at the start, and therefore they would need a machine to assist them. And this isn't a machine tier list. So although they are very good for advanced lifters, obviously new people to the gym might not be able to do it from the get-go, but they are still a good exercise. For all those reasons, I'm going to put it in A tier. It is a very good exercise. Next up, we have split squats, dumbbell split squats. Now, this exercise is very similar to a lunge. However, obviously, you've got one leg in a fixed position. They are good at targeting one leg at a time, targeting the quads. However, obviously, balance-wise as well, some people might struggle with the balance. Overloading, because you're only doing one leg at a time, you're not really going to overload much. However, they are still a good exercise targeting the quads. But I don't really do them myself. I do not like doing them. I would prefer to do a more simple exercise, such as the squat or even lunges, even though I don't do them. So I am going to be putting them in C tier. However, I do think they are better than your goblet squats. So I'm going to be putting them in C tier, but they're going to go above goblet squats. And last on the list, we have deadlifts. Now, deadlifts are a bit controversial. They are a very good all-round exercise, especially for strength. They are mainly a strength training exercise. Obviously, the exercise is very dependent on your body structure and your limb length, stuff like that, to be able to lift the weight. They do target muscles such as, obviously, your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings, even your back as well. Some people say deadlifts don't train back at all. They do, but it's more of an isometric training, so you're going to get a lot more back development and growth through full range of motion training exercises. However, if you are doing heavy deadlifts, it is going to target your back through isometric training too. But the only problem is, for specific training, you don't really do deadlifts to target a specific muscle group. You just do deadlifts to do deadlifts. If you're doing deadlifts to target quads, there's going to be better exercises you can do to target your quads. If you're doing deadlifts to target your back, there's going to be better exercises you can do to target your back. So if you're doing deadlifts just to do deadlifts and get stronger, they're a great exercise for your all-round body strength. However, for specifically muscle growth, stuff like that, for specific muscle groups, I would put them in probably very good. However, it's not really good for muscle growth. It's just for fundamentals of strength gaining, stuff like that. So that's the tier list over with. I've noticed I didn't really put any in D tier. Now, that's probably because obviously I didn't have many machine exercises in this video. If there were machines exercises involved, there probably would be quite a lot in D tier. However, I don't feel like any of these exercises really deserve to be going in D tier, because they can be done and they are going to build muscle in their own ways and stuff like that. However, I don't think any of them are that bad, really bad, where you should not be doing it at all. Obviously, some are better than others, stuff like that. So that's the end of the video. If you liked it and you've got any questions about any of the exercises or why I put something somewhere, make sure to comment. Please like and subscribe as well. And I will see you later. Thanks for watching.